I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is All the Mods 10 to the Sky. Jumping back into some more All the Mods 10 to the Sky, today is the day where we start ore processing. Well, basic ore processing. Ore processing that is going to essentially allow us to have infinite production of our base materials while it being kind of slow, still constantly being produced. And we're going to be diving into several different mods today to be able to do this, but let's first go ahead and get a compacting upgrade going. So just the regular base 2x2 recipe compacting upgrade is going to do wonders. So this is going to allow me to no longer need to grab these ore chunks out and hand compact them. No, we can do this within the barrel itself. Now, by default, it's not going to function. We do have to block a few things. Something that I don't want to be compressed or try to be compressed, which I don't know if it can, amethyst shards, for example. And then I don't think there's really anything else we have to worry about. Lapis will be automatically compressed, which I actually don't mind. But all of the other ore, we should be good. As soon as we turn this button on, compact anything, then all of this ore is going to start compacting. Now, it's not going to happen right off the bat. If we go ahead and turn the Works with GUI on, we can force it to happen. But as soon as it receives one of these items, it's going to automatically compact it. And look at that. It turns it directly into the ore form. And we're going to need this for today. This ain't the only one I'm going to upgrade. This one over here also contains a lot of these raw ore pieces. And just like the other side, I'm also going to go ahead and block those things. I could even, on this one, let's just block lapis just to show you it's not actually going to compact the lapis. So we can put this in and out and so on and so forth. That might actually block lapis from being compacted over here because this is what it compacts down into, these lapis blocks. However, these lapis bricks, I guess you can call them, they can actually be uncompacted. So it's not as big of a deal having them compacted. It'll save us some space. Now, all of these ores that we're producing, we need to have them broken down into their base components and then turned into the ingots. So that way we can store the ingots and use those for making even more infrastructure in the future. As this is what's going to allow us to really delve deep into applied energistics and many other mods that are going to cost so many resources. So while this may look like we have a lot, it's really not. However, I think after today, we might change that. Now, since we're going to be working on ore processing, I might as well pose you this question. What is your favorite block for crushing down ores? There's so many of them from many different mods. I would love to hear from you down in the comments below. But today, after doing a lot of research inside of JEI, I have decided, at least for the early game, to go with Mechanical Squeezer from Integrated Dynamics and the Sag Mill from EnderIO. How classic. Well, and also the Alloy Smelter, because we might as well continue with EnderIO if we're going to be using it. And yeah, the Alloy Smelter is pretty quick too. Now, believe me, there are some really, really powerful routes that you can go for ore processing if you, for example, dive into occultism. Occultism has a really, really powerful crusher that is a crusher demon, quote unquote. And it allows you to, for example, toss items onto it. It'll pick them up and then it can convert them. And then in here, there's an integration with ours, allowing you to technically throw them into a jar to process. But I'm not really looking to get into ours at the moment. However, it can do 6 times ore processing. Like, it can take your already crushed from the mechanical squeezer ore, which is already insane as it is. And then from each of these can give you 6 times production. Like, I feel like ore processing late game in this pack is going to be ridiculous. All right, enough of me talking. Yeah, I know you're excited. Let's go ahead and get into building this. First things first, primitive alloy smelter, because making dark steel takes quite a long time. And I've gone ahead and thrown obsidian, some coal, and some iron in here. And I've had this producing while we were chatting. This is going to be used to get us started inside of EnderIO. Yeah, and Grains of Infinity, believe it or not, we don't have to really worry about automating because we get it through our sieving processes. I believe dust over here, one of these gives it to us. Yes. So yes, sieving dust gives us Grains of Infinity, making this whole process significantly easier. Now, I was also looking at how many chunks do we actually have, and I believe it was 12 because iridium doesn't actually have a way of obtaining as far as I can see. So only 12 is what we need to work with. And I was thinking about doing like maybe a setup of 6. Well, not 6 of the sag mills, because I actually don't know if we're going to need that many. But 6 mechanical squeezers, well, they are a bit slow at doing their process. They take about 2 seconds per ore. So the mechanical squeezers seemed pretty reasonable to have about 6 of them. And I'm hoping that this kind of future proofs our setup. So I hope. Now over here with the alloy smelter, we want to go ahead and get a few things going, because to be able to get up to the fastest here, we need octadic capacitors. And yes, all of our machines are going to need regular capacitors, but we definitely want to make them as fast as they can be and as efficient as they can be. So getting these capacitors is going to be something we need, which means vibrant alloy. And prior to that, we also need energetic alloy. All of these require their own special recipes. We should easily have all of the stuff, but to get started, we have to start at basic tier 1. Look at that. Yes. And these are building up some power. I just ran the pipes over here, added a new generator, so we should be good. I'll tell you what, it doesn't actually take too long to get up to that vibrant alloy tier. Yeah, not too long at all. Yeah, I'm still debating on whether or not I am going to use the alloyer. It can do like 3 items at a time, like per process, but I don't know. We still may end up using iron furnaces. It's just so fast. So in just a short period of time, I already now have myself an octadic capacitor. It's pretty quick to get. And now I have 2 of them. Nice. So throwing these inside of our machines should speed them up significantly. Like coal before was pretty slow, but this is how fast we can expect it to crush down our ore. And it goes even faster whenever we actually put a little modifier that can go in this slot. Or as some would call them, balls. Yeah, no joke. The grinding balls is what we actually put in there. And we have some different materials. Like we have different output rates that are all based on the balls we put in here. Dark steel, honestly, pretty good. That's kind of what we want, is like bonus on the output here. But the power usage, yeah, all that stuff kind of matters. In steel grinding balls look like the best as far as bonus output. But yeah, we can expect to get like 200% bonus output, which is kind of what I want. And you do get quite a lot. So yeah, 48 of the dark steel grinding balls. Let's just go ahead and put 1 ore in. And you can see we got a guaranteed double and we got a bonus output of another type. So pretty darn nice, right? Overall, look at that. And we got 4 out of that. Like, whoa, okay. So the chance of it, okay, now is when we're getting the actual bonus. Okay, so we had to wait, I think, for it to go into effect, because now we're getting 4 per. There's 3. Okay, so it's still a chance based, but still, my goodness, that's even better than we're getting with the hammer. And over here, this is basically the speed that we are going to have stuff processed at. It can do 3 at a time, and it's pretty darn quick too, with just the basic capacitor. I say basic because there are loot capacitors that you could find, and they can go way faster than the basic octadic. Now, another quality of life, if you're new to EnderIO, is the ability for it to automatically pull and send items. And it has this nice little GUI that makes it really easy to configure your machines. For example, you can have it pull from the top and then push to the bottom, and it will automatically do that. So anything we send up here, it'll send it through, and we can do the same for all of these machines. Have it set to pull and also have it set to push. Pretty nice. Now, where am I going to put this ore processing setup? It's not going to take up too much space, I think. Right here might honestly be the best place for it. So what I could do is I could have the 3 mechanical squeezers that go up top, and those will kind of get sorted, and we'll have all of the different materials being sorted into them. Then we have to filter out of them with a pipe, so we have to make sure we have room for that. And then we're going to finally need an output. So let's think of it this way. So we'll have an alloy smelter, and we'll go backwards. Now the sag mill can go directly into here, but I do always like to have a buffer chest in between these two. So the sag mill, basically like that. And then up top, this is where we're going to need the mechanical squeezers, and we just need space for a pipe to be able to send into here. And then that should be more than fine too. All right, there we go. Now to be able to actually send the ore into the setup, I got the power hooked up, so the power's ready to go. But we do need to get them into the actual squeezers. And I think there is a really good way we can do that without needing to crisscross any kind of pipe. I could run regular item pipes. We'll talk about the item pipes here in a second and how we're going to filter these, because if we set these to extract, by the way, right now, and let's say we put ore in here, it does automatically pull the ore back out. So we have to filter to only be the actual product. So it'll only have to be the raw that we're actually pulling out. So that is the only problem with using the integrated dynamic system, is it does require a lot more filtering. Oh yeah. But back to being able to actually get the items moved over. So we got to get the items into this system. And I think modular routers is going to be the best system to be able to do this. And the reason I say that is because it's wireless. Like we can just literally send from our current barrels over here. Now, in my opinion, modular routers may look scary, but it is a very, very powerful and easy to understand mod, in my opinion. Now, by default, we need to think of it as it has the ability to pull items or item into the single buffer slot, up to a stack or unstackable items. But we only have a single buffer slot to kind of interact with items from. And you can see an item goes in here, so we can pull items into the machine, and we can also send items out of the machine, but only the item that is allowed to go in this buffer slot. Now, there's a couple of ways that we can filter this. So inside of something like a puller module, which is what I'm going to use to pull the items from this barrel by telling it where to pull, for example, from the upside of the modular router, we can put items into this filter. Now, by default, you're supposed to be able to take something like an ore and make sure it's set to whitelist, and where it says the module will only run if the filter matches. So this is exactly what we'd want, right? We'd want this, and then we'd want to set the tag to match anything that has the same tag as gold ore. For example, it should have common ore, but I'm noticing the tag match disable is not actually working. So there are a couple of ways that we can go ahead and do this. We can make a tag filter, and this tag filter should allow us to more specifically select tags. So in this case, we want C ores, and we want to go ahead and add that to the tag filter. And now inside of our card, we can just simply put the tag filter and then have it set to whitelist. So if all is said and done, and we are specifying that specific tag, when we put the module in, it should only pull in things that are ore. For example, you can see it's pulling in that ore, even though this is the first in the slot, which it would have typically tried to have pulled in had we not had that filter in. So there we go. So now we have this pulling in the ore, and we need to do the same thing for our other modular router, which is going to be on the other side. And there we go. Beautiful. So there's how the tag filters work. I mean, it is just so easy to set up. And I find tags to be some of the most powerful things you can use for filtering. Speaking of tags, we're going to get into those a bit more with item pipes, because believe it or not, item pipes can do tags as well. But let's get back to modular routers, because we also need to send from here, and we're going to need to distribute it to 3 separate places. And so that's where the distributor module comes into play. And we're going to need 2 of these. Now I can configure both of these together. So we want this to transfer out of the router, but it can also pull into the router too, which is kind of a useful thing that this can do. And it also does round robin, which is actually what we want. We do want it to round robin in this case. And we don't have to worry about any whitelists or anything like that. We just simply need to shift right click on the locations that we want it to go to. And it has a base range of 24 blocks. And all we have to do now is simply send the items out of here. So we put this in, and that is going to send the items round robin into that location. And then we can also do the same thing for this side. It's going to take them, and it's going to try to send into the buffer slots if it can. Of course, they are going to fight as of right now. And yeah, it's running, as you can see by the lasers. Speaking of lasers, we can get rid of those, but we'll do that here in a second. So now let's talk about the pipes mod. Ah, yes, good old pipes, everybody's favorite mod. Now, what is going to end up happening here if I go ahead and turn this on is it is going to start pulling all of the product out. But if there isn't anything left in here, well, it has a chance, I believe, of pulling this out, or at least the last time I used this mod, it would actually pull the ore out. And we kind of want to prevent that from happening. So let's go ahead and toggle these on like this. And I believe this is going to be fast enough to keep up. You can see right now it is running. Everything is doing its thing. But if we put some advanced pipe upgrades in here, we can configure these advanced pipe upgrades in a very interesting way. So we can add a filter, and let's just say we want to add the filter for aluminum. I think that's going to be a good filter to do. And we can come over here to anything that we have running, I guess, a void upgrade on. So this, it's a pretty good way to see these tags. We can put it in here, and we can see that we have C raw materials. That is the tag that we actually want to use when it comes to anything raw. And we want to make sure that is what is being allowed to be pulled out. Now with that copied to the clipboard, and we make sure this is set to whitelist, we can go ahead and add this tag. So we are going to need to preface this first. And then we have to do C, and I don't think there's an autocomplete, but the tag will fit in here. just like that once we get it done. And so as soon as we type this all in here, just like we've seen in that other area with a hash at the beginning, you can see this has now submitted this, and we can copy that and hit submit. And now we have a filter in this that will only pull out these items. Very, very powerful. And yeah, I'm definitely going to be using this in the future. Now over here, I am noticing, yeah, I mean, it may be struggling a little bit. I don't think it would struggle like once this whole setup is done, but I do want to go ahead and actually move my ore processing setup down here anyways. So time to grab my iron furnace and get it moved. Now I still want my alloy smelter, so I'm probably going to place that over here so we can still make things like dark steel and stuff like that to be able to replenish. But yeah, this is going here for right now. Go ahead and set that up. Make sure everything is clear, and then auto input and then auto output into the bottom. That is going to work fine for right now. We can even set up the auto split. I think that's going to be fine. Now, I don't know if it's because we were backed up on resources, but my goodness, I might have to have like 3 setups each. Like this isn't even able to keep up with the basic steps. Oh boy. I mean, we can go ahead and try and upgrade our furnaces. Like we can take this to 40, which it was already a double the rate. So I just need blaze rods. I mean, there is a couple of ways that we could get blaze rods without even needing to go to the nether. So now even with upgrading these, my goodness, yeah, the sag mill still falls behind, but you know what? I think that once it does get through this buffer, if it ever does, which it looks like it is slowly, that will be fine. We'll be completely fine. I'm sure it will catch up. Now, I'm sure by this point you probably want to turn off those lasers. Yeah, they do get kind of annoying to be able to turn off the lasers. Muffle upgrades, I believe just at least 2 of the muffle upgrades will be able to get rid of that laser from showing into the world. And there we go. So that we should no longer see anymore. Oh, and by the way, I can't believe I have almost forgot this. The time in the bottle is in here and I keep forgetting about it. But yes, I should probably craft it with as much time as I've already spent so far. Yes, I could have just had this just passively building time for me. I always forget about this thing. And yeah, I'm sure I'm going to need that time when we dive into bees in the future. You know what? I think this is starting to play catch up now. Like this definitely seems like it's catching up. This side is doing okay, like seems just fine. We're now getting into iron and other different things. It was definitely the copper that was really bogging things down, which makes a lot of sense considering copper, when it's broken down in these machines, I mean, it just gives you so much. But I've got to say, this is doing pretty good. 6,000 copper, 4,000. Look at all the iron that we've got now. This is going to be so good because I'm going to need all of this, especially when we dive into applied energistics. So now while this is processing, I did mention that we can get ourselves some blaze rods. There's actually a couple of different ways we can get blaze rods without stepping foot in the nether, as if going to the nether was a hard thing. But I kind of want to go ahead and set up this stuff anyways. So one of them is Oratech. And as much as I would love to get into Oratech right now, I don't think it's going to be as useful as setting up the productive metalworks. So instead, productive metalworks, here we go. And this is going to require fire bricks. Oh man, nice clay, sand, good old stuff. And yes, this is very reminiscent of Tinkers, which is kind of fitting considering we're playing with, you know, EnderIO, which definitely was the big popular mod back when, well, Tinker's Construct was popular. Now, to set up the productive metalworks, we are going to need some brick, and yeah, it's just like a classic Tinker's Foundry. So let's go ahead and get this placed in. So we're gonna have some fire bricks that go in the center, just like this. And then in the middle, this is where it kind of is a little bit different. We have these heating coils, these liquid heating coils that we have to place down in the center. But outside of that, everything's the same. So we have a controller, we have a drain, and we also have a tank. So yeah, we can have the tank placed over here, the controller placed here, and let's go ahead and put our foundry tap on this side. I think that'll work for right now. And just like normal, we would have a table down at the bottom, a foundry tap. By the way, we don't actually need these bricks definitely on the bottom. Like we could place them elsewhere, but I think it looks a little bit nicer when you have this whole thing filled in. So speaking of filled in, once done, just like that, as you can see, it gets turned on and we are ready to go. Now, the taller you build this thing, the more capacity you're going to have overall. But yeah, I've already made a mistake. Apparently, you can't have anything in the center of it at all. And that also includes all of this stuff. Yeah, even though it looked kind of cool being in there. Perfect. There we go. So we can take all of the stuff out. We have tons of space, tons and tons of space. But the main thing we need to get in here right now is steel, and we can actually make this by hand, I believe, because it can alloy things together. So coal, for example, coal and iron put together, just like in a 1-to-1 ratio, like that should be able to handle this. Once we have lava, of course. And I'm just going to tap into my current lava system. Yeah, there we go. And then we experience the jank. For some reason, it wasn't smelting everything down. It's still not smelting everything down. Not quite sure why. And maybe if I put it in again, now that it is active, looks like we can hold like 45 individual items, which is nice. And I'm assuming we can also do the same thing here. Perfect. There's the carbon. So we can finish that up, and then we just need to throw the iron in, and then we'll get some steel. We're going to use steel to cast. So once it's all melted, we can now see that that is building up, and we can click it just like in Tinker's Construct to set it to the bottom, to the casting area. And then we should be able to use something like an iron rod to be able to cast that out to give us a rod cast. And then something like a hopper. I mean, this is really easy to automate. We do a barrel just underneath. So right down here, we can place in a barrel, and just like classic Tinker's, hopper on the bottom. And now a lever can force this to stay on. Okay, so we're just about ready to go. We just need to take some blaze rods, or some blaze, not blaze rods. Place that in, and it is an equal amount of 4. So this will equal, if we do 4 each, this is going to equal 16 rods. We can also use something like a hopper or a pipe to actually pipe these items in, which is something that is going to be very nice down the road. But for right now, I'll just use a hopper just to toss it in. That's going to melt down into blaze, and then we can trigger this on, and there we go. We now have blaze rods. It's quite literally that easy. And I need this because there's just so many mods that really gate things behind getting yourself a blaze rod. Because, you know, that classic, hey, you need to go to the nether sort of progression mindset. So now with these blaze rods, I can upgrade my furnaces even further. And my goodness, the XP that I just gained from grabbing those is wild. Okay, yes, we have all of the obsidian we could ever want. That gets upgraded to the obsidian furnace, which is even better. And then we actually have the ability technically to go all the way up to the netherite, which you know what? We might as well. We might as well do this. I don't see why not. We can smelt this down for right now. I'm sure there's a better way to break these down, but for right now, this is not too bad. Actually, we could do it inside of here. Hold on. Let's just, oh, well, it's already done. Too late. But honestly, we have so much that it's not even that big of a deal. I just need to get enough so that way we can just upgrade these directly. Look at that. Netherite upgrades ready to go, ready to consume all of my power, because we definitely know it's going to eat. It's going to eat the power so much, so much. But I tell you, it is so much faster. All right, I don't think that this process is going to be the process that it has any issues, that's for sure. Now, it looks like this has just started to get caught up. Everything is going very nice. Look at this. So yeah, it has definitely limited all of the ores. And before I know it, all of them are going to be completely sorted, and only new ones are going to end up getting sent over here. And so far, we have ended up with a ton of resources. And it's just going to continue to grow, right? So I did throw in some stack upgrades. Everything's looking fantastic. We got ourselves some steel that I just made. And there's so many more things to do. Speaking of more things to do, I think it might be time to kind of start expanding. And I want to actually start clearing out a hole that is going to be literally right here. I just want to get a hole punched through so I can get a nice center point. And I've kind of found, just based on up top and down below here, that this is right about the center-esque of the whole top island shape. And I'm gonna want this area because this is where we are going to have the applied energistic system whenever we start the setup for that. It's going to be very powerful to have a centralized storage system and have a centralized applied energistic system. Oh, okay. Well, there may be lava up there. But you know what? Now I know. I think that's my original cobblestone generator. Well, at least I know exactly where my setup's at. So yeah, I must have went right into this. Okay, so it was right next to it actually. But right here is where we want this to be. And if we just take a look I mean, this is sort of in the center, like right over here is the entrance into the cave. And we're just sort of centered here, not the center of like what you would think would be the center. I actually want to utilize more of the island space and actually expand out and have the building actually over top of this pipe. And I do want to incorporate the building into this pipe. May even prompt me into an industrial feel. I don't know. I'm feeling something. I mean, it could just be heartburn, but I think that this is going to be the center. This is going to be the place where everything's going to happen. And then we'll build around that, having this be the center point. And now with all of our sieving and everything done, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of our sieve setup for right now and honestly clean up a lot of this area. I'm going to leave the RV for right now though, but I mean, this honestly will be getting the boot whenever we actually start building everything. For example, we can get rid of our early game like lava generator and we can use this somewhere else. Also, for those of you who are worried, Steve is still on a roll. Still getting it. Now with the idea of where I'm going to put some stuff and start building, I think next episode, yeah, we should work on how we are going to build this. How are we going to get the tools to build it and all of that other fun stuff. There's so much to come. Like, yeah, probably getting ourselves some sort of flight would be really nice. There's a lot of interesting ways to do that. And I'm sure at this point, I've got phantoms that could come after me. If I stand out in the nighttime long enough, I'm sure. But yes, so much to come, so much to do, and so little episode time to get it done in, it feels like. Oh man. So of course, to recap, we have all of our ore processing done. I am now being able to organize all of the ores. It looks like everything is perfectly being kept up with. That is exactly what I want to see. Everything's now being handled. It may be a bit overkill now for the amount and speed that we're doing, but as we increase the speed ever so slightly, this will honestly start to probably have, you know, input issues as well. So maybe we'll expand on that in the future. But I think for early on, this is a crazy ore processing setup with like, sometimes it's doing like well over 6 to 8 times ore processing just from this alone. And we're getting several byproducts. For example, like I don't think we get iridium from any other source. Like there's very few sources we actually get it from. So yeah, we're actually getting it as a byproduct from the crushing. That's pretty nice. And of course I upped my power to be able to keep up with all of this, just simply adding more of the 8 times. And man, our lava generation is barely even sweating over here. Like it's barely even being touched, which is just wild with how much power we're already generating here. I mean, over 4,000 RF per tick from just those alone. They're super easy to make. And we also ended up making blaze rods. Yeah, blaze rods. Now we can do it with metalworks. It's really nice. And it also prepped us for the ability to start production of G-ores, believe it or not. And this leads us now into the point of the game where things get to become a little bit more relaxed and we can start focusing on other things other than sitting there and manually right clicking and all that. Yeah, we don't have to do that much anymore. We're basically past that now, or at least so I hope. But now if you enjoyed today's episode and you learned something new, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and well, give this video a huge thumbs up. And with that, it's now time for me to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to Spy. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting my content in just one of the best ways possible, you absolute boss. Getting access to the world downloads, supporter servers, including this particular server. We do have one open, so definitely be sure to check it out. Link down in the description below. Join the Discord today. And guys, with that being said, I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching.